Let's be honest, high-end monitors don't make sense for most people. Okay, it's too hard to run, OLED still is too expensive and hasn't been quite figured out yet, 500Hz has too many trade-offs to make sense for most people unless you're an esports tryhard or professional. And that's why for the longest time I've recommended 1440p 160 to 180Hz gaming monitors as the sweet spot for an average gamer. 1440p has a lot of resolution, detail and clarity to it, much better than 1080p, even at 27 inches, but it's way easier to run than 4K. And if you're above 144Hz, frankly, I think that's enough refresh rate to give you a smooth, enjoyable gaming experience, even if you're playing faster-paced titles like Valorant. In fact, I know many people who have hit really high ranks in games like Valorant, Apex, and Counter-Strike 2 playing on a 144Hz display. So if you have above 144Hz and you still are hard stuck, it's probably a skill issue. Jokes aside though, Viewsonic has sponsored me today to talk about their new sweet spot, value-focused performance per dollar gaming monitor, the VX2728J-2K. It's 1440p, 180Hz, and IPS, and at a very interesting aggressive price. Let's talk about the gaming experience on this, and it's really quite nice. As expected, 180Hz is going to be enjoyable. Do note though, this 180Hz is a overclock mode. It runs at 165Hz if you're not running it in a overclocked mode. At 180Hz, it's locked at that refresh rate, but if you can consistently hit 200 FPS in your game, because you're playing an esports title like Valorant or Counter-Strike, then it should be no issue. 180Hz is nice and buttery smooth, but what if you can't hit that FPS consistently because you're playing a game like Cyberpunk or Starfield that is difficult to run and you don't have money for a RTX 4090? Well, fret not, because it does have AMD FreeSync, this monitor, and it works as expected. No flicker, no problems, which is great. Now, if you don't know what AMD FreeSync is, it's basically variable refresh rate, and the monitor will basically adjust its refresh rate to match whatever FPS you are getting in-game. So you don't get any screen tearing and weird visual artifacts that just take you out of the immersion. Important for AAA titles. And do note, AMD FreeSync also works with NVIDIA GPUs now, so if you want variable refresh rate, this has. But the thing is, refresh rate is not the only important thing in a gaming monitor. Motion clarity is also very important as well, and this is determined by pixel response times. And there is pixel overdrive that you can turn on to help improve that motion clarity and reduce motion blur. I would recommend you turn it to the advanced setting, because the maximum setting, the highest one, is a little bit too much and causes a little bit of ghosting. I prefer the advanced kind of medium setting. All in all though, I definitely don't think this monitor hurts my performance in games like Valorant and Counter-Strike. So if you are a gamer who is playing esports titles and you worry about speed, this is going to be fine, all while delivering a 1440p crispy, sharp resolution as well. But what if you're trying to enjoy media or enjoy immersive, visually compelling titles like Cyberpunk? Well, for those gamers, you care more about the visual fidelity, how good the monitor looks, and it's pretty good here as well. The IPS panel gets reasonably bright, up to about 300 nits, and for my measurements, it does hit that in terms of peak brightness. It does have support for HDR10, and it has a contrast ratio of 1000 to 1, which is pretty expected for an IPS panel. Backlight bleed is reasonably well controlled, and you definitely get a good level of saturation and punchy contrast, especially for IPS panels at this price range and this level of spec. Color accuracy is pretty nice as well. The colors on here look pretty natural in the right setting, and with a bit of calibration should be good enough for some light color work if all you're doing is publishing to web on an amateur level. Obviously, it's not targeted at pros. Viewsonic has really color accurate monitors for those kind of purposes, but if you're just trying to get into some sort of color accurate work as a intermediate or amateur, this will definitely work fine. Viewing angles are also pretty good. Even with my really bright studio light over here, you can still see the display very clearly on the camera, which kind of indicates to you how good the viewing angles are. And last but not least, the stand. It is a VESA compatible monitor, and if you're a sweaty tryhard gamer, I always recommend using a monitor arm. It really improves your ergonomics, but its stand has all the adjustments that you need, which is definitely a good thing also for its price. And from a distance, you might think it's not very sturdy, but you'll be actually impressed at how well built it is. It also has all the adjustments you would need, which saves you money and hassle of getting a monitor arm. There's height adjust, tilt adjust, and swivel adjust, so you can make sure that your monitor is in the most ergonomic position for you. It's very important for being comfortable in those long gaming sessions or long work sessions. In conclusion then, I do find myself quite enjoying this gaming monitor. Of course, you're going to say that it's a sponsored video, but frankly, if you think about it, there really isn't any logical reason to not see this as a pretty decent or competitive choice. It's got a very competitive price at about 420 Singapore dollars right now. It gets all the essentials and basics down right, and it gives you a good gaming experience with no real deal breakers while being pretty good performance per dollar. So I'm not going to act like this monitor is perfect. I would prefer if the panel was a little bit brighter. I would prefer if the menu controls were a little bit better. At this price, for the average gamer, those are hardly deal breakers, and those are hardly things that most average casual users even care about. If all you want is a simple gaming experience that gets the job done for a good price, the Viewsonic 2728J-2K ticks all the boxes, except for having a easy to remember name. And with that, subscribe, there'll be more videos coming really soon.